body bags where horror lies.
Hello and welcome to Body Bags. My name is James and I'm your Sunday night reviewer. And for this review, I decided to take a look at the Dick Maas film, Prey. Now, this is a guy from the Netherlands, and he directed one of my all-time favourite slashers, which is Amsterdam. So much fun, that film. It's kind of like slasher merged with kind of James Bond chase scenes, and it's just so much fun. And fun is something that falls into this movie quite heavily. I just like his style. It's like how he just builds things together. He paces things nicely. He's got interesting characters. He's got comic levels in there without being funny. I mean, it's a little more humor in this one maybe compared to some of his his other movies, but it's not over the top funny. It's just like it's just funny how it's all put together, like a couple of the characters. But anyway, so what we have here is it's a lion. It's basically running around the streets of Amsterdam. Yeah, it's cool. We follow this this veterinary surgeon. She's she's called in by the police to kind of look at this case. She's been called into like different murder deaths before where they found the body when it's to do with animals, and yeah, they're like, what the hell is this? It's like just people like just torn to pieces, like this family torn to pieces. Yeah, Dick Maas doesn't shy away from child death in this one either. Yeah, there's one scene, some spoilers, on a tram, and then he just bites this kid's face. It's in a pushchair, and it's like pulling it around. But yeah, there's a lion attack on a tram. Awesome. Not seen that in a movie before. Yeah, I don't think there's any need to kind of go in too heavy to this. It's kind of like, you know what you're gonna get. It's like our characters are trying to track down the lion. Local police force are like, oh, we don't need to do this. They're not going to listen to the expert who gets some help. She has a boyfriend who's a cameraman, journalist sort of thing. And she actually has is he an ex or something, or it's just someone that she's worked with like many years ago, and he's drafted in to like help, because the chief of police there uses his cousin, who's a big game hunter. But big game in these like South African sanctuaries and that is like they drug an animal and then they shoot it. So it's not big game hunting at all. It's just like, well, we know this happens in real life. It's just extreme cruelty for these dicks to have their trophies. So it's actually quite satisfying to see what happens to him and his idiot, goofy son. Yeah, like how this is all filmed. It's like, it's just very nicely filmed, like, because a lot of it is in the evenings. We got some in the park, and you got the streets of Amsterdam, and pretty barren streets actually. There's not a lot of people actually when there's some of the scenes of the lion running around, but then you get the stuff where he runs into a tram and there's loads of people, so it's not like they're shying away from people. But it's in there. But yeah, like they get this English hunter. He actually turns up in his like wheelchair. He's got his leg bitten off, and like, what? This guy's gonna do it. And he has an idea of using the chief of police's cousin, who got mauled to death, to use him as bait to get the lion, which doesn't go down too well. But in the end, they end up using him, and then it's like a big them chasing the lion and the lion chasing them. Yeah, it's some brutal kills in this one. Yeah, the kind of the bodies look great. The practical effects are cool. The CGI can be a bit spotty, I do have to admit, but getting a life-size lion running around the streets of Amsterdam requires a hell of a budget. like the Disney-esque budgets of 100+ million, and Dick Maas isn't going to have that money, but what he has, he makes use of, and most of the line is CGI. There is a couple of practical bits, I think, like when he's biting people in the tram and like roaring and stuff. There is a couple of scenes of practical line. I think maybe they started off with practical and they're like, look, it's just going to be a lot easier, quicker, cheaper having CGI. It's not terrible at all. It's not like, say, Exorcist, Dominion in the beginning, those, whichever one came first. Was it Dominion, and then it was the beginning, and then it was shit, so they reshot it and some of it, and they just had no money for special effects. You know, the hyenas in that, they look terrible, but this, it doesn't look terrible. It's just not super lifelike, that's all. But it doesn't matter. It's not distracting at all. It's like it's a good effort on a probably fairly low budget, probably very high budget for Netherlands horror, must admit. Didn't look into that too much, but yeah, what we have here is another fun Dick Maas ride. Yeah, the guy makes good movies, really enjoyable movies, and he has his Naomi Watts, very good lookalike Naomi Watts in this movie. Anyway, that's the end of my review. My buddy Derek on Cinema Attack, they actually just did a review of this, so they broke it down a hell of a lot better than I would have broken it down. But him, Dubby, and Matt, so the three of those guys, they have, like I said, their Cinema Attack podcast. So really recommend checking out that episode. I still haven't done it. I need to get my arse into gear and start listening to that. I think I'm going to probably get onto that today or tomorrow and give it a listen. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I'll catch you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.